team. He's a great addition to the team. He didn't score today, but he has scored 5 goals this campaign. But he did have a couple of good chances in the second half.
Yeah, and this is what I mean. They can be a bit more direct with him, and he runs in behind, and this is in. I thought he did ever so well because he got across, his touch went across Laporte, but then look, he's done really well to get back. And
was that just good defending there?
Yeah, in the end, I think it was just the pace and the speed come up, but he's just a threat. And I think he's still really young, and, you know, this is kind of his breakout season, in essence. So the more confidence he gets, like he said, I'm learning. And I like that about him. He's learning and learning, and you know, like I said earlier, I'm surprised. I know there's a link with him going there and a permanent, but I'm just surprised Chelsea just don't wait and go, actually, let's see what this kid's got, because he's everything we kind of need that we haven't got ourselves at this moment.
Yeah, it's a good point there.
Yeah, and when you see him play, he does all the things correctly, doesn't he? You know, he wants to work hard. Yes, of course he does, and you expect him. But he's got good pace. You saw that on the run with Aymeric Laporte. He runs in the right channels. He runs in the right areas. He holds the ball up well. So it's not just this flash in the pan, oh, he's on low and he's got a little bit of fortune. You can see he's learning from a really good tutor at Chelsea, of course, with Tuchel and prior to him. And he's gone there and he's enjoying himself. But the most important thing is he's getting better. He's got a good future ahead of him. You can see that. He's got a good size about him. And the only disappointing thing for Southampton is because he's done so well, it's whether another bigger team comes in and tries to take him, or whether Chelsea just keep him themselves, because they could always do with players like that.
Or his value marker goes through the roof, and then you're like, no.
He's not worth 10 million now. He's worth that times 4, isn't he? A centre-forward, scores goals, who's a young, promising player.
Yeah, he looks like he's enjoying his time at Southampton just from that interview. We saw from the league table, they're 12th in the table. What can be achieved with this squad, do you think?
I think top 10 is probably where I think they are. I think they are a bit, they're all out energy, they all go for it, and then I think they drop too many points just because they're so high intense in the first half, and they just drop off the second half. But I think they just need to keep getting those players in, a couple of another wide players to strengthen their squad. They are quite thin at times. When they get a few injuries, I do think it affects them, but they've been on a good run the last month or so. Good manager, like the style, and I think if they keep recruiting well, that they've got a chance.
I think, unfortunately, they can't aim too high, can they, Southampton? They've always sold players. Danny Ings left, of course. They got Brozian on loan, and I think if they stay middle of the table, and that position from 15th to about 8th, if they're in and around that and the way well clear of the relegation zone and get a decent enough cup run, I think that's all you can hope for at this moment in time. And they're always going to be like that. They're always nice to watch. Great team to go and support. Lovely area, nice stadium. You always get a good style of football. I think that's the most important thing. So I think Southampton fans will be very happy.
Yeah, they are great fun to watch, aren't they? And they are fearless. They don't seem to fear Man City. They went into half-time 1-0 up, and then came the second half. Laporte scored the equaliser, but would you say it was poor defending for this one, Karen?
Yeah, I would. And this is my issue. You defend so well. And look, straight away, there's 3 loaded around the back post. Your 3 big main headers, that straight away is alarm bells. When you see those 3 loading the back post, that ball from Kevin De Bruyne is going there. And look, you cannot leave Laporte free to go in, get a free header 6 yards out. Yeah. It is only going to lead to a goal. And I think they've conceded 10 from set plays this season, 3rd most in the Premier League, joint, I think. And you defend all that game and just one ball in the box.
That was really disappointing to see that, because Brozia's back there, a young, inexperienced forward. He's not a typical defensive player. He sees Rodri run past him and he's in an offside position. Of course he is. So his hand's in the air waiting, and Laporte comes in front of him and scores the goal. So, of course, the goal is completely legitimate. But that should have been, the big men should have thought, you know what, for once, we don't need to line up here. We need to go and mark them. And they just got caught out. Great for Manchester City, because they must have realised that. And as Karen said, loaded up the back with their big hitters, really. But when you see Diaz, Laporte and Rodri, all the big men go and stand at the far post, you have to just move your shape and go and pick them up.
Yeah, and I think it also goes to show you cannot afford a lapse in concentration or a moment. You can't give that to City, can you? No,
and look, the delivery from Kevin De Bruyne is spot on. The areas in which they are at, you just drop a little bit back. And, City, it's hard to say they weren't at their best because they dominated the game, but they weren't clinical. But they can still get a point because of set plays. And that's sometimes you're not at your best, you still come away with the result, don't you?